This is the conventional deadlift. So we're set up with a barbell here and bumper plates on either side. So when Peter approaches the bar, his feet are going to be about hip width apart, all right? And we want those shins to be within an inch or two of the bar, almost starting right up against there. As you perform the lift, that bar should scrape against your shins, all right? So for better or worse, you know you're doing it right if you're scraping up your shins and thighs as you do the exercise. Okay, so with his stance here, the toes point straight ahead. Away some people, to set up here, he's going to push his hips back, right? Coming down, keeping that chest up, grabbing there. He's using a mixed grip, so one hand's over the top, one hand's underneath. You can use a mixed grip or you can do a double overhand grip like that. In this case, we'll just do it with a mixed grip, that's fine. It's kind of a personal preference thing. As he goes heavier, a mixed grip might be better. So from this position here, he's going to pull his hips down. Good, that chest comes up in front, so now his hips are pretty below his shoulders. And we want to maintain this position here, all right? We don't want to see that torso get too horizontal here. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the low back. All right, so his hips down, chest up, and we want to get some tension in the upper back. So one cue I like to use here is just think about crushing my hands here, Peter. So good, he screws his shoulders in. I put my fingers in between his armpits, and he's screwing his shoulders in, generating some tension in his upper back, and that'll help him stay more upright as he initiates his pull. Okay, so from here, he's going to push through the ground, through his heels, all right, so the weight's on the heels mostly here. Pulling up, keeping that bar close to him, locking out with his hips, good. All right, so some things we want to address here too are the head position. A lot of times people will, when they deadlift, they have their head cranked up forward here, so that's the common way people will deadlift. We want to keep that double chin. The eyes can be looking up, we want that chin down as much as possible, okay? One thing I wanted to address here, I forgot to, when he was lowering the bar here, he did so under control. You don't want to just simply round your back, all right? So you want to initiate by pushing your hips back, lowering that weight under control, maybe dropping it even, all right? But we definitely don't want to lower it in a state of spinal flexion, okay? Because that can be pretty dangerous. So some other things we want to address here is the idea of taking out the tension in the bar. So this refers to that first part of the lift here where the bar is still on the ground. A lot of times athletes or anyone in general will try to go from 0 to 60. They'll try to be as explosive as possible off the floor, and that really can screw up their form. So what we want to do is take out the tension, which simply refers to slowly accelerating through this. So you want to start by just gradually increasing the amount of force you're putting into the ground and pulling on the bar. All right, and then once you get that bar off the ground, the weight comes up, then you can explode. But in that initial part, you want to start slow and easy, then explode. So Peter gives a rep here. He can start slow and easy. Once he gets that bar moving, though, then he can really explode, come through with the hips at the top, all right? But notice he's not simply trying to go from 0 to 60 right off the bat. He wants to get that bar moving, then he'll explode. So some other things we want to address here, starting with a position of too much extension or flexion, because we'll see both extremes here. So a position here of too much flexion, that chest is caved forward here, all right? You can see his hips are almost at shoulder height here, and his back's pretty rounded. We definitely don't want to be doing a deadlift from that spinal alignment. So instead we want to pull those hips down, bring the chest up. But the other extreme, we don't want to be cranked out in too much extension. You'll see this sometimes in athletes or even female clients who have a lot of laxity. So they'll pull their hips down really low, and now they have an aggressive arch in their back, all right? So that might be okay sometimes if you're trying to pull as heavy as possible, but for the normal sets, you want to try to keep a reasonably neutral alignment, slight anterior tilt of the pelvis and a little bit of an arch in the back, but we don't want to be really flared out when you do your normal sets, okay? So try to keep the anterior core slightly braced here and not have an aggressive arch when you perform this exercise. As I mentioned earlier, you want to fire the glutes at lockout, not extend through with your back. So at lockout, glutes should be squeezed here in the back, ribs should be down in the front, anterior core is braced, all right? So to make this exercise more difficult, one common variation we'll use is we'll add chains, so a little bit of accommodating resistance. So for this one, we can just add a chain to either end of the barbell. So we're going to go inside the weight here, so just inside the collar. So put one chain on either side. However many chains you're using, it should be an even number so that it's a symmetrical loading here. So as you can see, there's a fair amount of the chains on the ground here, but as Peter lifts the weight, those chains should come off the ground, okay? So the weight he's lifting will actually increase the higher he goes. A little bit of accommodating resistance. And with this, you want to make sure you're lifting explosively through the whole lift, except for, of course, at the beginning. So you got that lockout, you want to be going explosively because that weight is increasing. So give us a rep here. You'll notice that the chains, more and more of them come off the ground as he lifts up. Good position here. And there you go, locking out powerfully with the hips and the chains come off the ground. Good. So that's one variation we'll use. Another variation we'll use is for people who might not be mobile enough to get into a good start position, we'll simply elevate each side a few inches, all right, so that they can start from a good position. So if maybe you're especially tall or just a little stiff in the hips, we're just going to elevate by putting a few risers underneath each side so that you can get down to a good start position. So the bar will be a little bit higher. So instead of being, say, just above your ankles, it's going to be a few inches higher up on your shins, which should allow you to get into a better start position so that you can perform the entire exercise with good form.